This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 2006, The Beauty of Spring Cleaning by Sean Ogle with exilelifestyle.com, and I'm Justin Malik. Welcome back to Optimal Living Daily, or the OLD podcast, where I read to you from some of the best blogs I can find and get permission from, and sometimes books, covering personal development or self-help, minimalism, productivity, anything that I think will help you make your day more meaningful. And with that, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. The Beauty of Spring Cleaning by Sean Ogle with exilelifestyle.com. Over the years, I have come to the realization that I am a veritable pack rat. I take a look around my house and I find years of stuff that has accumulated. However, when I decide it is time to start throwing things out, for some reason, I am able to get rid of very little. I get into the mode where I start convincing myself that I'll wear clothes that haven't been touched in half a decade, or that my collection of baseball cards may actually be worth something someday. It's taken me a long time to realize that the clothes will never be worn, and that the baseball cards are just as worthless as they ever have been. However, I finally begun to embrace the idea of downsizing. In one way or another, everyone can benefit from a little spring cleaning. Maybe you are just decluttering your home. Maybe you could use the money and have a few items you can sell. Or maybe you want to get rid of everything and move to Buenos Aires. Whatever the reason, downsizing your life can have pretty substantial benefits. Let's start by considering the monetary benefits. I am currently in the process of selling my car. That's $230.87 a month I'm saving on the car payment alone. I'll no longer need to worry about parking or gas or insurance for that matter. Sure, you'll have to come up with an alternative means of transportation, but there are millions of people that are able to get by without a fancy automobile, and I'm sure you could do it as well if you really wanted to. Maybe you also have a storage locker full of stuff you will never use again, but just haven't gone through the trouble of getting rid of. I know a guy who still has a locker across the country that is left over from his move 15 years ago. Something is wrong when you're paying $50 a month for stuff you haven't seen since the mid-90s. Aside from the many financial advantages that occur from cleaning out your life, there are other gains as well. I know when I last went through all my stuff, I found things I thought I had lost forever. Old pictures, books, and a 3-year-old Starbucks gift card that I was still able to use. Sure, you might end up getting rid of most of your new treasures during the process, but the point is, you never know what you may find. I'm also a firm believer in the old adage, a cluttered home is a cluttered mind. By taking the time to throw out the unnecessary papers, clothes, books, etc. that you no longer need, I guarantee you will instantly feel a drop in your stress level. Now, just because we understand there are benefits to minimizing the amount of stuff we have doesn't mean going through with it will actually be easy. It's quite the opposite, actually. I had a hard time throwing out sentimental things like ticket stubs and even old gifts I never really liked in the first place. A few strategies I found to be helpful. Number 1, focus on one thing at a time. For instance, I'd go through my file drawer and not focus on any of the other stuff that was scattered about. If you look at the process of spring cleaning as a series of smaller projects rather than one big one, you are much more likely to get things accomplished. Number 2, use the 1-year rule. If you haven't touched something in 1 year, it is probably safe to say it doesn't need to be in your life anymore. Sure, there are exceptions to this, but it's generally a good rule. This is how I finally forced myself to get rid of my old pair of skis that will never be used again. And number 3, decide where you will get the most value. If you are unorganized, spend your time working on things to make your world more organized. If you need money, focus on finding the items you can sell. If your home is too cluttered, decide what can be removed to make the biggest difference and move it. There are plenty of ways to go about it. You just have to decide what works for you. Hopefully this helped you to identify some small things you can do to make big changes in your life. Cleaning out some of the unnecessary items in my world has ended up making me much more productive and less stressed about everything going on in life. You just listened to the post titled The Beauty of Spring Cleaning by Sean Ogle with exilelifestyle.com. I'll have some comments, but first, getting a degree can seem like an unreachable goal, especially if you have a job, kids, or other family obligations. Maybe you've been out of school for a while and feel like you don't have time to attend courses on campus several times a week, but you need that degree to advance. enter UTEP Connect. UTEP Connect is the University of Texas at El Paso's, or UTEP's, suite of fully online degree programs. They are part of the country's largest university system, the University of Texas system. And their degrees are 100% online, so they're accessible from anywhere by anyone with a computer and internet connection. They make it flexible and convenient for you. Plus, something really nice, they provide personalized guidance at every stage of your journey with them. You'll have a single point of contact you can reach out to the whole time you're a student there. They even work closely with UTEP's Military Student Success Center to make your entry to UTEP an easy one after military service. UTEP is accepting applications now. Go to online.utep.edu or call UTEP Connect at 1-800-684-UTEP today for information. With UTEP Connect, higher education is now within reach of everyone, everywhere. And thank you to Sean. He's a guest writer on Exile Lifestyle. You can find Sean at locationrebel.com. His purpose is to help you build a small business that gives you the freedom and flexibility to work from anywhere in the world. And Colin Wright, the creator of Exile Lifestyle, where this article is posted, he also had a note, so I'll share that. Update May 9th, 2016. I don't have much to say on this one since it wasn't mine, but I believe this was the first guest post I hosted, and as that was kind of the thing to do if you wanted to grow a blog back then, it's notable in that regard. I also still see Mr. Ogle from time to time, which is fun. Back in the day, most of us only knew each other through our blogs, but over the years we met up, became real-life friends, and slowly but surely figured out our next steps. A lot of the people I know from back then are still doing blog-supported activities, while others are organizing events, have started non-audience-focused businesses, or became employed by some nifty company or another. So thank you to both Sean and Colin. Regarding that last comment about real-life friends, that's how I feel about this podcast. I've slowly gotten to know some listeners via email or in our Facebook group or on Vibely or from that one bowling event we did in Irvine a couple of years ago or from previous podcast ventures, maybe even all of the above. And that's been one of my favorite parts of hosting this show. It's so nice to continue to hear from you and hear your story. If you haven't reached out yet, I encourage you to do so. You can always find me and our team at oldpodcast.com. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being here and listening to me and for following or subscribing to the show. And I'll be back tomorrow where optimal life awaits.